Welcome to another 31 Days of Horror 2018 video, Toronto After Dark edition. Yes, we are looking at the 17th movie of the 31 Days of Horror, and I believe the 15th film of the festival. And for this one, we are going to Germany with a film called Lose. Now, normally when you have a foreign film, they often translate the titles into English when they're doing, English releases and stuff like that, but as you can tell, Lose, L-U-Z, is not English. In fact, it's not German either. It is, I believe, Spanish for light. I think that's as far as I could I could find out. So this is a weird one. It's written, directed, produced, every blah 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 by Tillman Singer. Essentially, this was his student film. He made this for a school in Germany as his I guess thesis film or whatever you would call it, your final film project. So you might be thinking, oh wow, this is gonna suck. But here's one thing that nobody else ever really does. He shot this on 16mm, like cinescope, like it is shot on film. Shot on film. So it looks awesome. Like he had my money right. Like seeing film shot on film is such a different aesthetic compared to anything shot, digital or VHS or anything like that. It just has a look to it. Being that this film was, European, it really gave it this whole, like you're watching the Italian horrors from like Argento and such. It really had that kind of aesthetic going on. Like, I mean, the mood going on in this film is really, really crazy. Now, I could talk about who's in the film, but honestly, both the director and the cast they haven't really done. I mean, the actors have acted in other things, but not a lot, and nothing anybody's ever heard of. So it's really not important, but I mean, for the sake of going through who these people are and giving them credit, Johannes Benedict is Olart, Jan Blutart is Dr. Rossini, Lily Lawrence is Margarita, Julia Riedler is Nora Vanderkirk, and Nadja Stubiger is Bertillon, and Luana Veles is Luz Carrara. So Luz is the name of the character. And it's the name of the main character. So Luz is a young woman. She's a cab driver in Germany, and she sort of opens with her going into I guess what is supposed to be a police station, but I think it's just probably one of the rooms, like an auditorium or a building somewhere on the school campus, I'm guessing. But she's being followed by a demonic entity. And this film is essentially, it's a possession film. You learn about how Luz was from... Oh, you learn about how somebody from Germany met Luz in I don't know, South America, Central America. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. I think, and then they came back over to Germany, and then people, I guess, died, and that's why she's at this police station, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So they bring in the psychiatrist who, you know, puts her under this, you know, hypnotic trance type thing, and then so she would relive the moment. Now, this film is not straightforward whatsoever. This is like right out of film school in terms of like you're going artsy. I mean, like if you look at like Cronenberg and so, well, you look at a lot of filmmakers and you look at their early works. I mean, even George Lucas. You look at their first films or first couple of films. They often tend to be very, very weird, very, you know, artsy, very just not your standard typical linear storylines or anything like that. They do tend to be very well, not even atmospheric. I mean, David Lynch comes to mind when you think of messing with the minds of the viewer, and that's what this young filmmaker has done with this film. It is very art housey, very artistic, very non-commercial and non-really viewer friendly. It is hard to follow, but all of this is done on purpose as an artistic choice, and it's one of those things. This is one of the reasons why I love films like this, because you can't say it was shot poorly, you can't say the acting was bad, you can't say anything was bad, because hey, that's how he wanted to make it, right? I mean, you can't say, you know, like, oh, that could have been better acted, but maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be acted, right? Like, maybe it's supposed to be like that to be weird. Maybe all these kind of things. But in this case, the acting is great. I mean, and the amount of bizarre stuff that happens in this film is I loved it. I absolutely loved it. You know, they used smoke and essentially filled the room with smoke at one point, and used lights and stuff like that to create this, you know, really weird, moody thing. It's really all takes place in very few locations, and it pulls it off to this creepy weirdness with possessions and people being naked and people doing weird things, and there isn't that, like I said, I gave you the cast list. That's essentially everybody it is. I mean, there's a bar scene, there's and most of the actual scene, I guess, takes place in the, I don't know what you call it. They've set up this place where they're doing the hypnotism and the recreation of the events. So I think it's like, I don't know. It's some I'd say auditorium, but it's not like raised or anything. It's just a room with a bunch of seats and stuff like that. And so because people are speaking Spanish and they're in Germany, they have a translator guy who's translating it. So they all have these earpieces, and because the cab driver, you know, Spanish speaking. She does speak German, but she's Spanish speaking natively, so she's telling the story in Spanish. And so this guy's in a booth listening to everything and recording it, and then, you know, talking into a mic, translating it to the people in the room who have earpieces and stuff. And so there's this constant, you know, like a lot of dialogue, which made the subtitles a little hard to make out at times, because you didn't know who was saying, like, what words were going to which person and such. That's kind of a knock on the film. It is quite short at an hour and 10 minutes. Could it have been longer? I think it probably could have. They could have done more narrative outside of things and been able to do it. But I mean, when you're doing a student film and you've got uber limited budget, you cut back wherever you can, and you know, just deal with whatever you have. So yeah, kudos. I mean, most of the money was probably spent on the film stock. So yeah, you know what? I know it very, very well. I wouldn't even say mixed. Most of the people, you know, came out, you know, saying, you know, you listen, right? You listen to people coming out of the theater. They liked it. You know, it was one of those things where I think a lot of people were asking, you know, did you like it? Thinking, you know, like, I didn't like it, but, you know, like, I want to hear what you say first. And then they go, oh, I liked it. And so, you know, they could come back, so what did you think? I liked it. Which, in my mind, means, yeah, you didn't really like it, but you don't want to say you disliked it. Whereas me, on the other hand, you know, when, you know, even the guy who came over and asked me is like, so what'd you think, right? And I was like, honestly, I loved it. This is the kind of stuff I absolutely love. It is weird. I love the look of it. I loved, you know, like, so many aspects of it. And the look I got was just like, really? Really? This is the one you liked? And yeah, it is, I'm going to say it is one of my higher, what would I say, my highlights of the festival so far. So yeah, this is one of those things I say, and I'll give it, you know, for me it's a 3.5, 4 out of 5 for me, but for you I won't give it a recommend. I can't give Lose a recommend. It is not for everybody. If you like weird films, if you like Eraserhead, or you know, the early works of Clive Barker, before he, you know, did Hellraiser, can't remember what the name of those movies, those type of things where, you know, often black and white, this is the thing, they're often black and white, either in you know, school or just out of school, and these are their first things, and they make these movies. If those are the type of weird, I mean, there's people who do these kind of movies for a living, don't get me wrong, but just when I think of, you know, big name directors and films that they've done that are similar to it, you kind of go back to those, and just, if you like that weird, like, I mean, are really, really, really weird stuff, then this is probably for you. Everybody else you can steer clear. But yeah, I loved it, and it's playing like every festival, so it's obviously done something right, because everybody wants this movie. So yeah, it's one of those things where you generally only see at a festival. Well, who knows? These days, there's going to be somebody who's going to pick it up for something. Will it get, you know, streaming? I don't know, but it'll probably get somebody somewhere will pick it up for a you know, Blu-ray DVD release or something like that. I can only guess, right? So, will you be able to see it? I don't know. Check the film festivals around you, because honestly, it's playing like every, you know, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, weird, fantastical festivals that I've looked at. I mean, all of them seem to have it, or had it, depending on when, you know, when they came out. So yeah, that's Lose, L-U-Z. Again, take it how you will. I've explained it to you as best as I could without giving it away. Well, I couldn't even tell you what the film, outside of what I just gave you, is really about. It's a possession film, we'll just say that. There's a lot of possession going on, demon type stuff. It's a love story. Yeah, anyways, if you see, I can't recommend it. But if what I've told you makes you go, that's the kind of movie I want to see, track it down, see if you can find it. Eventually, fingers crossed, it'll come out and you'll be able to see it. So yeah, there you go. Lose for the 31 Days of Horror 2018. From yours truly. More videos to come. Yes, there are. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.